Have you ever felt unsure about who you really are, especially when life keeps pulling you in different directions? A strong personal identity is not about being perfect, famous, or different from everyone else. It is about knowing your values, understanding your strengths, accepting your flaws, and living in a way that feels true to you. When you build a strong personal identity, you stop depending so much on outside approval. You become more confident in your decisions, more steady during difficult times, and more clear about the life you want to create. In this video, we will explore practical ways to build a stronger sense of self so you can feel more grounded, authentic, and confident in everyday life.
Personal identity is the way you understand yourself. It includes your values, beliefs, interests, goals, habits, and the role you choose to play in the world. It is your inner definition of who you are. Without a clear identity, people often feel lost, confused, or overly influenced by others. But with a strong identity, decisions become easier because you know what matters to you. You do not need to copy everyone around you. Instead, you begin to live from a place of self-awareness and purpose. Many people struggle with personal identity because they spend years trying to fit in. Family expectations, social pressure, comparison, and fear of rejection can make a person hide their real self. Over time, they start making choices based on what others want instead of what feels right inside. This creates inner conflict. You may look fine from the outside, but inside, you feel disconnected. Building a strong identity begins when you stop asking, "Who do people want me to be?" and start asking, "Who am I really?" The foundation of personal identity is values. Values are the principles that guide your life. They shape your choices and behavior. For example, you may value honesty, kindness, freedom, learning, family, discipline, creativity, or service. When you know your values, you stop drifting. You become more intentional. So ask yourself, what matters deeply to me? What kind of person do I want to be, even when nobody is watching? The clearer your values, the stronger your identity becomes. A strong personal identity is built on truth, not fantasy. That means knowing both your strengths and your weaknesses. Maybe you are patient, creative, loyal, observant, or hardworking. Maybe you also struggle with overthinking, insecurity, anger, or inconsistency. Knowing yourself honestly does not make you weak. In fact, it makes you stronger. When you accept both your abilities and your limitations, you become more real, more balanced, and more confident in who you are. One of the biggest enemies of personal identity is constant comparison. When you compare yourself too much, you begin to measure your worth through someone else's life. You start copying their goals, their style, their pace, and even their dreams. But identity grows from self-discovery, not imitation. You can admire others without losing yourself. Your life is not meant to look exactly like anyone else's. The moment you stop competing with everyone, you make space to become more fully yourself. Identity is not built only by thinking. It is built by repeated action. If you say you value health, but ignore your body, that value becomes weak. If you say you value honesty, but keep pretending, your identity becomes unstable. Every action is like a vote for the person you are becoming. So choose small daily behaviors that match your values. The more your actions align with your beliefs, the stronger and more trustworthy your identity becomes, both to yourself and to others. A strong identity requires boundaries. If you cannot say no, other people will decide your life for you. Saying no does not make you rude or selfish. It means you understand your limits, priorities, and values. When you say yes to everything, you often betray yourself just to keep others happy. But when you say no with calm confidence, you protect your time, energy, and self-respect. Boundaries are not walls to shut people out. They are fences that protect what matters. Building a strong personal identity does not mean staying the same forever. People grow. Experiences change us. We learn new things, let go of old beliefs, and discover new parts of ourselves. A strong identity is not rigid. It is rooted, but flexible. Think of a tree. Its roots hold it firm, but its branches move with the wind. You do not need to fear change. You only need to stay connected to your core values while allowing yourself to evolve with wisdom and honesty. It is hard to know who you are if you are always distracted. Quiet time helps identity grow. When you spend time alone, away from noise, entertainment, and opinions, you begin to hear your own inner voice more clearly. Reflection helps you understand what you feel, what you believe, and what you truly want. This can happen through journaling, walking, prayer, meditation, or simply sitting in silence. The goal is not to escape life, but to reconnect with yourself. You do not build a strong identity by getting everything right. You build it by being consistent over time. Some days you will feel confident. Other days you will feel uncertain. That is normal. What matters is that you keep returning to your values, your goals, and your true self. Identity grows through repetition, reflection, and course correction. You do not need to become someone else overnight. You only need to keep practicing being more honest, more intentional, and more aligned each day. The people around you influence your identity more than you may realize. Healthy relationships encourage you to be authentic, grow stronger, and stay true to your values. Unhealthy relationships pressure you to shrink, pretend, or betray yourself. Pay attention to how you feel around others. Do you feel respected and free, or anxious and fake? Building a strong identity sometimes means stepping away from people who constantly pull you away from yourself, and spending more time with those who help you become better. A strong identity becomes even stronger when linked to direction. You may not know your full life purpose yet, and that is okay. But you should know the direction you want to move in. Ask yourself, what kind of life feels meaningful to me? What do I want to contribute? What qualities do I want to be known for? Identity becomes clearer when your life has direction. You stop wandering aimlessly and begin living with more purpose, even in small everyday choices. At the heart of a strong personal identity is self-respect. Self-respect means treating yourself as someone whose life matters. It means speaking to yourself with dignity, making responsible choices, keeping promises to yourself, and not allowing others to define your worth. When you respect yourself, your identity becomes steadier. You no longer chase approval in the same desperate way. You begin to stand from within, and that inner stability changes the way you walk, speak, decide, and live. Building a strong personal identity is a lifelong process. It does not happen in one day, and it does not require perfection. It begins with honesty. Know your values. Accept yourself. Stop comparing. Set boundaries. Act in alignment with the person you want to become. Over time, these small choices create a stronger, clearer, and more grounded you. The world will always try to tell you who to be, but real strength comes when you learn to answer that question for yourself.
A strong personal identity is one of the greatest gifts you can build for yourself. It helps you stay steady when life becomes uncertain, and it gives you the confidence to make choices that truly reflect who you are. You do not need to have everything figured out today. Just begin with small steps. Learn your values. Be honest about your strengths and weaknesses. Stop comparing your journey to others. Protect your boundaries and live in a way that matches what matters most to you. The more you practice this, the stronger your sense of self will become. And when you know who you are, you do not just feel more confident. You live with more peace, purpose, and direction. Thanks for watching.